Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of What If Civilization Started Over. In the last episode, we saw devastating floods, destroying Red's capital, India's capital, Mesopotamia Lime's capital, Morocco's capital, and Rome's capital, and also many more floods all around the world, just like this new lake here, and the Suez Canal being expanded. This is the first episode of the medieval era, so that's pretty cool, but we're going to build off of what just happened and see what happens. There is a hole here from my how to make videos like me. I did not fix it apparently. There we go. There it's fixed. Let's move on to see what happens. So the first thing that we'll see happen is the countries who lost their capitals are obviously going to move their capitals. So Rome's capital is going to go from right here all the way over to about modern day Rome. I'm pretty sure it's about there. Morocco is going to move theirs over to here. Actually, I think it would be a bit more realistic for them to move it to here. Mesopotamia Lime will take their capital, and they're probably going to move it just east of the Jordan. You can't really see it here, but it's right here. Yeah. Red's going to take their capital. This one's a hard one, because would they move it to, like, one of their older cities, or would they move it to a more strategic area, like right next to this new lake in between the Euphrates and Tigris, in a bit more of an unstable area? Not so unstable that it will, like, turn into another civil war, but it's definitely an unstable area. So, I think they're just going to end up placing it, let's go here. It's in between the rivers, I believe. No, it is not in between the rivers, so they're going to move it right here. This is in between the rivers. Jesus. All right, but next up we're going to move into India, see where they're going to move their capital. They lost a lot of major cities down here, including their capital. But these black little dots, those are major cities that were destroyed in this. So obviously over here we can see that there's an island over here. And don't worry, these floods will eventually recede in some way. Maybe not all of them. That is why I do have a flooded lands layer, so I can see all the lands that were flooded. But like this little black dot is like just any major city that was destroyed. And that could go for anything. Let's say there was a nuking of a major city, and that would make it black. Or, like, there was some sieging, which made it black. India will move their capital up here to this central borough. This is a very economic place. They probably would have swapped it even before this little epidemic happened here. I believe that's everyone who got flooded. Yep, it should be. The next thing that we're going to see happen is the retaliation as to what these people are doing. So obviously, these flooded areas are very, very populated, especially like in India. Red, Mesopotamia Lime isn't too populated, but the Suez Canal, that was very, very populated. It was a great trading area, and yes, I know that is man-made. Shut up. This was a very populated area, the Strait of Gibraltar. There isn't as much trade as there is in, like, the modern world, because, you know, the Americas aren't discovered yet, but it is great to get from, like, Mesopotamia Lime all the way in through here up to, like, you know, the UK. Although, I don't know why you would want to live in the UK. That's a bit of a conflict-y area. But that was a major powerhouse, especially Rome. Rome is populated pretty much everywhere. Their metropolitan areas are massive for their cities. Not every single city. Like, these two cities probably don't have big metro... Actually, no, these used to be the capital. One of these two. So, I don't know. But what these people are doing is, you know, as I've been talking about, there's lots of people who live in these areas. So these countries are taking these people and they're having them move into big houses with other people. So, like, it's just like there's a lot of people living in one house or something. Like 2 to 4 families or so live inside of one house, where there's usually only one family, sometimes maybe 2, depending on, like, you know, where you live. But obviously that is not sanitary, and it's very, very true, because what is happening now is not good either. These floods displaced populations because these little population centers are now non-existent. However, there still are survivors and there are refugees. All the countries that had major floods, so that is Red, India, Mesopotamia Lime and the Nile, Rome, France, Morocco, Blue, and that's it, had a little bit of a refugee crisis. So what they did was they had, the government was like, you guys, you're going to have to move on to neighboring cities. However, if a bunch of people are living together in, like, this old time with bad diseases, That surely can't be good. I'm going to introduce a new layer here, and it's one we haven't seen yet, and I'm not sure if it will ever come back in the series. It probably will, I'm assuming, if I can find it. Here we are, the plague layer. That's right, there's a plague in the world right now, and that is because the refugee crisis is having a bunch of people living together in one spot, causing this terrible plague. It's pretty visual, but I will explain it here. So the darkest color here is where the plague is very bad. This darker color is, it's like the in-between, it's like mid. And this light color is like there's some people there. And then the non-color is just, there's no plague. Or at least not enough for, like, there could be like 1 or 2 people that have it. But how does this plague happen? It's because there's so many people living together in this one spot. And also over here inside of India, we could see that traders have been dropping it off. This follows the international trade route right here. You could see that. The world is unaware of this plague. They don't even know that it is existent. They know what a sickness is, they know what a disease is, however, they know what a concept of a plague is, but they've never experienced one. They don't really know what a plague is. And they also don't know that it's even happening right now. So yeah, this is what's happening in the world right now. It's not so good, but something even worse is about to happen. I know that a lot of you guys actually really like this country, and something bad is about to happen to this country. Which country is it exactly? Well, it's not red, it's not India, it's not blue, it's not Rome, but it's their very close neighbor, France. France is going to just break apart. They're going to fall. France is going to break apart into 4 different regions. Their core original regions is like the same government, and then there's these 2 breakaways down here in the south, the central one and then the southern one, and then there's this eastern one which was separated by the flood here. And why does this happen? Well, it's kind of obvious. Number 1, there's the flood, and then number 2, there is the plague. However, they don't really know about the plague just yet, so that's kind of not on the board for, why did this happen? So they are just saying that it was the flood that kind of just screwed everything up, because they lost some good major cities over here. These were good little tourist attractions. What? I guess from like Rome and Cyan, and they flooded. So that's kind of why they fell apart here, making these 3 new countries. They're not gonna fight him back. They're just gonna let him be. Yeah, and just by the way, these are border disputes between Spain and Catalonia. Catalonia claimed that land first, though, so I'm not going to say anything, but in my opinion, it's Catalonian. But Spain thinks it's theirs, or I guess Iberia at this point. Going down into Africa, we're going to see blue do something. They haven't done jack but during this series, but they're going to expand in Africa, and this is what they take. And why did I color this in a weird color? And that's because as soon as they moved in, they were like, no, actually, I don't really like this. I'm fine with what we had before. This is just going to cause instability to be moving into this place that doesn't fit our heritage, or heritage wouldn't really make sense, whatever. So they're quickly going to move out, but a new government will move in here, and they are a nomadic group. I'm going to change their color really quickly, but I only colored them in this kind of blue, just so that way, I could show that it was blue. I think they're going to be pink. Does pink look good? Maybe a little bit darker. Yeah, that's good. But these guys are nomadic. What does that mean? That basically just means that they like to move around a lot, and move around a lot they do. They explore into this way. This is probably the most amount of exploration into Africa that we've ever seen. They're going to follow around some river systems. They're going to end up finding Victoria Lake, and they're going to expand along, they're going to explore along that. They're going to also explore out this way a little bit, and they're going to end up finding a river here, and they're going to explore through the rest of that, and they're going to realize, oh man, that's stuff we already have, and then they're going to kind of just send more explorers in through here. They don't have to buy these explorers. These are just people that are exploring and sending the info back, so they're not going to like fall apart because they're exploring. But they're going to follow this river, and they're going to see this cool little lake in the distance, and they're going to go down that, and they're going to be like, whoa, this is great. And they're going to keep on exploring. They're going to find this one here. They're also going to find this river right there, and they're going to explore towards that. They're going to find this river here. They're going to explore towards that. And then they're going to try and keep on going north to find out where this is. And now they have a good relative existence of this, and they're going to explore the rest of this here. And as you can see, they're doing a lot of exploring. They're going to continue down this way, and they're going to try and go back up through here and just like explore all that stuff. And by the way, they're not paying for these guys to explore. They are just exploring because they like exploring. But anyway, right here, they're going to see the Comoros from there. And they're going to go and explore the Comoros. And from this most southern, eastern Comoros Island, they're going to see Madagascar. And they're going to explore the entire island of Madagascar. They do know that it's an island, so they're just going to keep on going south until they are done exploring it. And they do know that there is land west, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to go west and find this land. And they know that they have to go north to find their people, so they're going to continue going north to find their people. After that little regrouping, they're going to keep on going down because they have noticed the gradual westwardness of Africa, so they're assuming that it's eventually going to end, which it does. They eventually find South Africa, Cape Town, and once they start going up north again, they're going to stop, and they're just going to explore in this little area here. But that's after, like a long time. This has been happening, probably since the plague started. It's been a few years since that plague started. Like maybe 5 years or so. Because I don't know how they would explore that fast. But these guys, they're going to quickly abandon all this here. And instead, they're going to move around Victoria Lake. So the first thing they're going to do is set up like this big empire here. Oh god. Here. And once they're ready, they're going to continue moving down so that way they can form their second area. And they quickly abandon these two. And I don't know where these people would come from. Maybe Sudan, maybe Blue, not the Nile, because the Nile doesn't even know about Sudan yet. So, I mean, they know about this area, they just don't know that there's already a nation here. So probably blue, maybe a bit from red, but these are like free lands that they can grab. So that's what these people are going to do. The first piece of land to be grabbed is this one here. It's just looking, mighty fine. So this one is, it's gonna get set up pretty well, because this is where these guys came from, and this is, This is the original owners of this land, and this land was abandoned by them, so someone else came and took it over. We're also going to see someone move in here. They're going to be a dark little yellow color. Oh god. They're going to look like that. I think that's pretty good. But they will immediately expand, so that way they can meet up with these guys, and they'll become some sort of bestie little group or something. And just like that, we have Africa quickly getting filled up. However, we're not done just yet, because we're going to see some more states form. First state being an actual country. This is our first actual country on the map, minus probably a few islands. But this one is going to form in Madagascar, taking over all of Madagascar. They decided to make a few movies, about 4, I think. There's like these monkeys, and yeah, it's a pretty good movie, to be honest. We're also gonna see a South African country form. We're gonna have them be colored in. Oh shoot, what did I do? This South African country is gonna be some sort of cyan-y color. So this is what this country is going to look like. They're gonna look like that. Shoot, what are they gonna look like? There's no holes anywhere, I don't think. God, I gotta check for holes. There's no holes. I'm on the right layer. I just had to turn the tolerance down, but this is this country. It's a pretty big looking empire. They're not going to do much exploring. They're going to be a little bit, kind of, what's the word? Isolated. This next one will be southern Tanzania, and why is it southern? That's because India showed up to take their little piece. They create a little colony over here inside of, northern Tanzania. This is Tanzania, right? But I will refer to this as India's colony, and this as southern Tanzania, if I can pronounce it. But India hopped over here because they heard about all the commotion in Africa, and how there's these cool new supplies, so they wanted to go check it out. But it's kind of funny how the country that started all of this is now the smallest country in Africa. Africa is now becoming very, very popular. The first ever country was the Nile, and it started out as like a little major city or something, I think. I can't even remember, jeez. But now we have all these countries. Some countries are irrelevant, like this Algerian country. This guy hasn't done anything. Well, to be fair, they only formed like an episode or so ago. But this country, they're going to do some stuff. They're going to explore a little bit. Obviously, they haven't heard about what's been happening down in, like, this area, so they aren't going to do that in like retaliation or anything, but they will explore just a little bit to expand. They're gonna find this Gambia River here, and they're going to continue exploring down towards the southern area, And then after that, they're going to just explore a little bit inland and then come back. But they're not going to take the exact same route, of course, so they do get a little bit more exploration from that. And after that, they're going to be like, okay, it's safe to expand now. There's no threats in the area. But they're going to expand a little bit southward. They're going to go until this river here. And just like that, they're going to get a little bit longer. Let me really quickly do capitals and major cities here. These are capitals and major cities in this area. Quick reminder here, I don't remember what if you guys have any ideas or any suggestions or anything in general that you want to see happen inside of this series, please just comment down below and let me know, because I am feeling very free to do any ideas that you guys have, as long as they're not like insanely unrealistic, so it can't be like, oh, I want India to go to the moon next episode. Speaking of India, they do, in fact, have a lot of the plague. If I can find the plague layer. Why is it so hidden? Here we are. They have a lot of the plague, and they just made up a colony inside of Africa, which was completely free of the plague. But now they do have a bit of the plague. Obviously, it hasn't spread into any other countries yet, but that's just because we haven't actually seen any, trade between these guys just yet, because that's still being set up, because all this is very, very new. It was kind of rushed here. But inside of India's major cities here, we see the plague up here. So that's no fun. Anyway, going back over to West Africa, we're going to see another country form. I know, we're just on on a, whatever you call it, on a rampage. What? I think that makes sense. We're also going to see a new country form. I know we're seeing a lot of new countries form, but that's just realistic, okay? If I can get the fill to work, they can form. But this is going to be this little pink country. The backstory behind this, I guess, would be, there were people inside of West Africa, and these were like the explorers and stuff. But after exploring, they wanted to form their own little country because they liked this little area. I mean, to be fair, they are surrounded by two little rivers here, so that's good for them. But they are going to move there, and they're just going to exist here. Major city-wise, they're only going to ever have one. I mean, they're going to have one right now, and it's right at the Gambia River, and that will also be their capital because it's their only major city, as I said. I just realized I didn't do West Africa's new major cities. It's going to be like that, and we're going to see one right there, and also one right there. Anyway, we're going to move back up to Britain, and we're going to see another war happen here. This is going to be a little coalition, I guess. Our first ever coalition. It's pretty cool. But this corn place, whatever, they're gonna send a little letter through here. Actually, no, they couldn't go through here. They would go through the Northern Sea, and they're gonna go up to Scotland. They're gonna be like, yo, you want to help me jump this central? You want to help me jump England? And they're like, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. So they're gonna go and jump England. Corn place, whatever, what's this place called? This corn place, whatever, is going to be the first place to move, and they're going to capture that major city. Oh, God. They're going to capture this major city here, and then this Scotland place is going to move down through here and grab this major city. And now that these guys are like, oh, crap, we're being jumped, they're going to just push these guys back, push these guys back. It's pretty deadly, pretty bad, pretty deadly. But then we're going to see them start pushing into these guys, so it's like a reverse coalition now. But they're going to first push into here, grab this major city, and they're going to get stalemated for just a little bit. But these guys, they're going to get Isle of Man captured, and they're going to use that as their little military base, because I believe there's a military base there. No, there's not a military base there. They don't even have military. Oh, I haven't done the military bases inside of Scotland. But they're going to move into Scotland, and they're going to grab their capital. They're also going to grab a major city while they're at it, and they're going to keep on pushing up here, and they're going to surrender. Yeah, Scotland's going to surrender, and Corn Place is going to just look at them and go, dude, what the heck? But now that they're just focused in on here, they're going to be able to not easily, but easierly push in through here, and they're going to make a naval landing from, like, here to here, and they're going to land here, push down through here, cutting them in two, which will allow this side to have an easier push through this way, and they're going to finally just get rid of them in their capital. And for the peace treaty, it's pretty simple. They just annex this entire place, so everything here is now their territory. And just like that, for the first time ever, Britain is unified. I better be able to find enough colors for this. Well, that lasted a while. Ireland, yes, I'm calling them Ireland now, I don't care, you'll see why in a second. Ireland is not able to hold these guys together, because why would you be able to? But these guys are also going to just start fighting them, and immediately we're going to see these guys, this place here, move in. I think it's only going to be this one here that declares war, but they're going to move in here, capture the capital, and the reason I'm doing it in this color and not a lighter color is because that's how it's going to end. I know for a fact that that's how it's going to end. But just like that, their capital here is captured, and they're going to have to take it, and they're going to have to move it. That's right, they're moving their capital to Dublin, and if you haven't seen the regions in this area, it's very set up in that way. Yeah, look, everything inside of Ireland is just surrounding Dublin, and the same thing goes for the provinces. You can see that it's a little circle here inside of Dublin, and then there's a bigger circle and a bigger circle and a bigger circle. There's very small provinces here. Yeah, it's cool. But just like that, Britain is ununified once again. I don't think we're ever going to have an episode where they're actually going to end unified. Actually, we probably will at some point. I lied. But yeah, this is what the world looked like now here. But we're also going to see a few more short little wars. This guy, this whatever color this is going to declare war on New Scotland. This like gray one. And they're going to move in through here, and they're going to declare white peace. Whichever side will be declaring white peace. I'm not sure which one would. And they're going to draw the peace treaty. Inside of this peace treaty, Scotland loses a region, and Scotland is back to the former Scotland that was here before it. So that's cool. Faroe Islands are discovered. Not this one. I'm not sure which one is which, but these two islands here, they're discovered, by the way, and they're owned by this country. But we're going to move into Asia now, this far away, and we're going to move over here as we see Korea explore. They're going to move into this northern island here. I don't know what it's called. I'm not from Japan, and if you want to yell at me for that, that's okay, because I'm not from Japan. But they're going to explore all this. They're going to land on this island, explore that, and then they're going to move to this island. They're also going to move to this northern island here. They're only going to touch up on it. They're not going to find a real need to move there, and that's because they're going to form a country. No, it's not Korea expanding. It's just going to be a new country here. And I'm going to do their major cities really quickly. I just realized I haven't even done major cities right here, so I'm going to have to do 2 sets of major cities. But for this guy's capital up here, I think it's going to be right here, in this little spot there. So here we go. I'm actually also going to place a major city right there. But this is what these major cities in this region look like. It's pretty cool looking, I know. Speaking of Korea, they're also going to do some more expanding. This time they're going to explore westward, and they're going to explore very, very far. They're going to look out in Manchuria. And don't ask me how everyone this episode is exploring so well. I'm honestly not sure. But can you please just ignore that, because I don't want you guys to care about that. They're also going to explore around this little bay here. That's not them. That's a new country that's going to form in just like a little bit. So make sure to look out for that. Taiwan is discovered. That's pretty cool. But Korea is going to expand further inland. I know this is a big expansion, but that's what they're going to be doing. So that sucks for you, doesn't it? So you could pretty easily tell what used to be there. So it kind of went like this. There was like a river there. But now they're really, really big. You can even call it a Korean empire. They're probably catching up to, I don't know who they'd be catching up to. I don't know. But I'm not going to do, actually, I will do major cities here, only because I feel like it. You guys should be lucky that I keep on doing these major cities. I don't have to. I could be like, just ignoring the major city part. But obviously, these don't just appear out of thin air. They will just be working on them for like a little while, after they move in for a bit. So this is across the rest of the episode. These major cities will pop up here. And that's because, population boom. Whoa. And that's because of population booms. Don't ask me how those are happening right now, during a plague. God, I don't like this plague. Stop asking questions. How about that? If Vietnam's going to do something, they haven't done anything since they expanded like a few episodes ago. They're going to go down through here. They kind of ignored this when they first kind of like discovered this area. But now they're going to not ignore it, and they're going to go down through it. And they're going to see what is down here, because they know it's a peninsula, because they've been around the sea. And what they're going to find is the Malaccan Strait. And they're going to be like, ooh, doggy, this is going to be good for us. They're going to island hop. They're going to make it over to Malaysia and Brunei, and now all of Malaysia, I'm pretty sure, has been discovered. Maybe not this part. They're gonna hop up to the Philippines. They're gonna discover some of these islands here, and they're slowly but surely are going to discover that these goes from India through there, through here, up through here, and then through there, up all the way to Korea. And they're like, yo, guys. And they make a conference inside of their capital. And they have a conference with India and Korea, and they start talking. They're going to make an international trade route that runs from India's capital through the Malaccan Strait, up through this area past Taiwan, and then into Korea's capital, and then into Japan's capital. Japan was also called into that meeting, by the way. But Vietnam, Vietnam is going to make a little colony over here. So this little colony is going to help Vietnam actually, be something for once. Let's check out this trade route. Obviously, there's no building needed for making a water trade route, only harbors, of course. But otherwise, there's no building needed because it's just like it happens, and you deal with it. But this trade route expands through here, and it goes all the way through here. Where would it go at this point? They're going to somehow avoid these islands here. I don't know how they would do this. I'll just say that these are discovered, these islands. But this trade route is going to look like this. It's going to go all the way through here, and there's also a little fork in the road. You could go to Vietnam's capital and travel the rest by foot, or you could go through the water, continue through that way. So to be honest, Vietnam only gets benefits right here, not in their capital. However, that's fine because, jeez, oh my god, this is a good area here. And these are the finished trade routes over here. But otherwise, in the rest of the world, actually, this is in the same area. We're going to see more exploration by this new country that I was hinting at. And they're going to explore a little bit more inwards. And what color will I get for them? I'm going to make them this little bit of a light color. They're going to be this color. You guys like that? But they're going to form around this little area here. I bet there's rivers I can follow. Yeah, there's rivers I can follow. I don't like them, though. I like this river. They're going to form here. I don't really like that color so much. Let me know if you guys also don't like this color. I can change it. They're also going to expand the rest of around this bay, because that's the only reason they formed this new bay here. And I'm going to do their major cities and stuff. But this is what they're going to look like after that. I really don't like this color. Give me a new color, guys. I'm not going to do the trade routes because I don't want to. So that sucks for you guys. We're going to see Laos form. Jeez, they're not going to form like that. Turns out I accidentally drew them on the wrong layer. Uh-oh. Here is Laos. I'm going to call them that. I don't know. That's more Cambodia. I'm going to call them Cambodia. Because Laos is like up here, but Cambodia is like over here. This is Vietnam. It's more like a southern Vietnam. Vietnam's more positioned up towards this way. But this little area here, that's kind of Vietnam-y. Their capital isn't even... Whatever. They're Vietnam, okay? We're also going to see Bangladesh form. I'm really running out of colors. What about a nice-looking seafoam green? Here's Bangladesh. They run along a lot of rivers here. I'm going to give them their major cities now. So, lucky then, they form along giant opening of rivers. And their capital will be at this giant connection of these rivers. And just like that, we have Bangladesh. That's a nice looking color. That's like seafoam green, I think. But some really ambitious dude, probably from Korea, because Korea is just ambitious like that. He's gonna form this massive army. I don't even know if this would be like legal or anything. But he is going to do what happened over here inside of wherever it is, inside of this place, this country, and he's just going to plow through central, Asia, and he demands that, if he goes westward, he will eventually find the old world, which is, in this case, Mesopotamia, if I can move, and he will just move through the world. So he's going to push through here. He is going to just form up like this. He's going to find this little river here, and he's going to follow it, and he's going to go around there, and he's going to keep on pushing westward until he finds this little lake here, and he's going to explore around that. I don't know how many episodes this would be across. This is across a little while. This episode lasts about probably, I'd say, maybe even a century or so. So the plague, obviously, it isn't, deadly that's going to kill immediately. Is just like some sickness that weakens you, I guess. I don't know. But he's going to keep on pushing through here. He is demanding that they eventually will find it. He's going to find this desert, and he's going to wander off a little bit. He finds this this lake, and that's only because he started going southward a little bit and he saw it by sight. He didn't just run into it. But he's going to keep on pushing forward, and he's going to find this lake here, which has been drying up. It's kind of sad. And then, all of a sudden, he runs into the Caspian. And after that, he's just going to expand around this way. And we're going to see more of the Himalayas. Just, this area is just discovered more. And we are going to slowly but surely see more exploration from all different types of countries, just explore inward more. Everything around the Himalayas has now been explored, and this little eastern part there has been explored fully, meaning yes, people have gone into the Himalayas, and slowly but surely they're just going to keep on pushing in through here as they explore more and more. Just because I don't want a giant gray dot, I'm just going to say that they explored it. This could be throughout the, multiple episodes of that little central exploration, but for just time's sake, I'm going to say that was just explored now. Now, what is this dude doing exactly? Well, he is doing all that so that way he can form his own empire. Everyone say hello to the Mongolian Empire. The Mongolian Empire is going to start out where he kind of started over here, and he's going to expand, and if you couldn't already tell, I am not doing the borders how I usually do them by drawing with a pencil. That's because he's just going to be doing like this, and that's because he's not so strong, so I may or may not be implying that he will fall apart soon. But he reaches all the way over to the Caspian, and he's very, very, biggest country on Earth type. And he's just going to, look like this. It's not really pretty, but hey, at least now the old world is kind of connected to this, new world, if that's what you want to call it. But now he is a massive Mongolian empire, and if there's anything you know about the Mongolian Empire, as soon as their leader dies, they fall apart, and that's what happens in this case. However, he doesn't die. It's just, you obviously can't do this. What the heck is this? This isn't possible. So, I'm going to go through here, refine these borders, and then I'm going to have them fall apart into a billion pieces. But this is the refined little mess. And I don't know what this guy was doing, to be honest. It's obviously going to fall apart. And Red's like, what's happening at our borders? Because the biggest country in the world is now existent. It's not going to be the biggest country for long. Look at it. You could literally see the mark that it leaves when it's zoomed out to 1%. But let's see this thing fall apart, because this is going to be pretty dang exciting. I don't know if it will be. Is it? These are all of the borders that follow along rivers, and no, this is not the final project. So this really hurts my eyes, but this is what they look like when they fell apart. Yes, they do still exist right over here, where they kind of started. But now we have whatever the heck this is. I think there's too many countries, to be honest. I might have to do some stuff. Yeah, I think that's a little bit better. But these are some massive countries, especially this central one. Do they like each other? I'm going to say no. Not in a way that, not in, a red versus green way, but, they don't like each other in a France versus Germany way. But that's, at this point, is not so high, But these borders are looking madly ugly. It's just some border gore in, all places. We have weird panhandles, especially in this area. So let's hope these guys do eventually get a red versus green relationship so that way they can go to war and fix up these borders. And there's no way I'm doing major cities and capital cities and provinces right now. And here's a little hint, nothing else happens with these guys for the next episode, for the rest of the episode, because it was at the beginning of the episode that these guys kind of just expanded, and then it was at the end of the episode that they finished expanding. They were expanding, then they explored, then they whatever they did, they expanded, then they explored, then they they explored, then they expanded, then they fell apart. That's what it's like. But Green sees this, and they get a little bit jealous, and they're going to expand. So Green, they're taking back the land that they had lost. They lost this land, not this land. But they're taking back, they're going to try and take back an equivalent of the land that they lost. But now, we're going to move up into Europe, and we're going to see some more exploration. If you couldn't already tell, this is a pretty big episode for, exploration and stuff. At the beginning of this episode, half the map was just blank, and now we have Africa getting really filled up, Asia's getting filled up, Central Asia, I'm just gonna not say anything, but Ukraine here is going to expand into Ukraine. That's right, this is a normal expansion, nothing like what we just saw, but they're going to expand into Ukraine. That's why I've been calling them Ukraine, just by the way, and I also don't feel like doing the major cities, so that sucks for you guys. However, I will refine these borders because they are not looking good. Just a reminder, this is a orange rebellion from Lime, and Lime has been trying to expand their entire lifetime, and they just saw them do all this in like a split second. They're like, what the heck? Yeah, that's because they actually know how to run a country, unlike any of these Caucasian people. I mean, Maroon knows how to run a country, but it's just Lime, to be honest. But we're going to see Russia get explored a little bit. By a little bit, I mean like a lot. Almost Moscow region. Actually, I'm pretty sure we're at the Moscow region by this point. But now all of Europe is explored besides the Alps. But speaking of the Alps, I'm going to say that they've been explored. Just to say that all of Europe, ignore this, is going to be explored later in the episode. Most of Europe has been explored. We're going to see our first ever landlocked country. Wait, never mind. Actually, I really take that back. There's a lot of landlocked countries. We're going to see a landlocked country form. What color will they be? I'm going to make them just gray. Like pure gray. I think that's pretty good. This is what this little Russian country will look like, and these are like this is mostly migrations from from Cyan, some from Rome, who's like been heavily hit, but most of it is from Denmark and Germany and Norway, and that collectiveness makes a country. And it looks like this is just unexplored area, but it is not unexplored area, I assure you. But we're going to see a not a Polish. We're gonna get like some nice little light color for this one. I'm gonna get like a pink salmon. Let's go with that. We're gonna see a Finnish country form here. Yep, they're going to be here, but they're also going to like have most of their main population down in this southern area, but there's also population in the north, and they have a little bit of St. Petersburg right there. They're also going to take these two islands, and they're going to become like besties with Norway and Denmark, and we're going to see a Polish state form. Let's get a nice looking I'm running out of colors. We're going to get a little bit of a dark blue going on here, and this is what our Polish country will look like. We're also going to see Cyan's, whatever this is called, puppet state expand, but now their puppet state actually looks like a real country, or existing thing, and not just a weird little thing shoved into Greenland. I mean, Germany. What? We're going to see a second Russian country form, and this is going to be our little Russian country right here. And both states, states, are weakened by this plague. And yes, I'm done with drawing the plague, and it's so annoying to draw. But these are weakened by the plague, and they also kind of hate each other because they're like, I'm the true country here, I should only exist, not you, and then the other one does the exact same thing. But now we're going to see something that is not chaos or disagreements or a new country. Instead, it's going to be some sort of agreement between Rome and this little orange country. And what's going to happen here? Well, let me explain. They're going to have a little meeting inside of Orange's capital. The leader of Rome will just kind of fly through here. Well, they can't fly, but they're going to meet inside of Orange's capital, and they're going to make a little agreement. Rome and Orange divide a little sort of line here in Turkey, and that's basically where we can expand into. You can't expand further than that line, and I can't expand further than that line. And if someone makes it there first, well, then that sucks, because they get it. And inside of this agreement here, they both agree, and right as soon as the meeting ends, they're both walking out. Rome's leader turns around and says, wait, and they make one more agreement. This is a non-aggression pact. Rome will defend Orange. It's a defension back, or whatever that is. But Orange will pay Rome annually to have them be basically allies at this point. Speaking of allies, we're going to see some alliances fall apart. Number one, I think this is kind of obvious, but Green's alliance. That's because their Moroccan friend is, non-existent, and so is their pink friend. Well, their Moroccan friend is existent, except they don't want to be in this, and then also Spain leaves because they only joined for protection against Morocco. We're going to see that India and Red hold together pretty well. They're just going to stay inside of this alliance. However, we will see India join in on their economic alliance. However, we see this country here also leave this economic alliance, and so does the Nile. And that's because they're abandoning red and all that, and they're forming their own little thing. They're going to form the Diamond Alliance. Yep, that's right. They're the only countries in it, though. So that's a thing. And the final thing that we see happen is these two up here in the north. They're both going to leave the Star Economic Alliance. And that is it. Yes, this is a defensive pact. Speaking of defensive pact, actually, I can just draw the border here, I just realized. So here's the border. Actually, no, I don't like that border. Here is the border. Yes, I did just make Rome lose land in that agreement, and that's because, well, look at Rome, and look at Orange. Anyway, we're gonna move just down a little bit, and, whatever country this is, Mesopotamia Lime, is going to go to Red's capital, which is a short little walk now, and they're going to talk to them about a little agreement. This agreement I'm not going to talk about, or I'm not going to tell you directly, but I'm going to show you. Inside of this agreement, we see this happen. Yep, that's right, a unification. Mesopotamia Lime will unify with Red, creating Red get access to, Mediterranean. And they do that because Lime is weakened. They're very, very weak. They're crippled after what happened over here. So they are going to unify with Red. But now that the Nile and Sudan are besties, the Nile is going to expand south along the Nile. How could I guess? How could you guess? But now that they're touching, they're going to become even more besties, and they're going to trade with each other and everything. And the Suez Canal is like an open thing now. It's not like just a small little pretty much dried up river anymore. It's a full-on, like, flowing thing. But we're gonna see a little kind of whatever it's called. I don't know what it's called. Libya. Yep, we're gonna see Libyan state form here. I'm using orange way too much this episode. I'm gonna have to change this color. But they're small, starting off. I'm gonna have them expand actually just a little bit, and then I'm going to change their color. They're gonna be a bit of a green. I like that. No, actually I don't like that. I'm gonna make them... What about a maroon? A nice little maroon. I don't think there's any maroons just yet. Yeah, that's pretty good. There's no maroons. Oh, no, there is maroons. Actually, I'm stupid. This is not Morocco, okay? You can see Morocco's a little bit more pink. This guy's capital will be, I'm not sure where it would be. I think it's going to be on this little peninsula here. That's pretty good for them. As for all these guys, there's going to be there, here, and these guys, which should have had a capital a while ago, it's gonna be there, and the reason that it's there is because, like, there's a nice looking lake, and it's just, trust me, and this one's going to be here. And as for these countries, I'm not doing it, I said. This Algerian country here, they're going to expand. Why? Because I said so, and now they are touching up with Rome. It's very hard to see them now, but you can see them nonetheless. Both these Russian states are going to go to war because they claim that they are the original Russia. But this Russia will push in through here, and I just realized since they don't have major cities, it's going to be a little bit hard. But they're going to push in like this, and this other one is going to push in like this, cutting off this little part here and taking it. And it's kind of just going to be a stalemate after that. Nothing else is going to happen. So they're going to decide to meet up and draw a peace treaty. Inside of this peace treaty, absolutely nothing happens because the land is the same valuability, I guess, if that makes sense. And they also got about the same amount of land in the north and in the south. So they decide on not changing the borders at all. Except now it's very tense here, and they hate each other. But the reason they went to war is because they both claim they were Russia. Or, I mean, well, obviously Russia doesn't exist in this timeline. I mean, they did at some point. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is they're both claiming that they were the real state, and there's a border dispute of the entire country for each of them. The rest of China is discovered. It's pretty cool. And now we see a lot of white on the map, which is very, very exciting in my opinion. I hate this gray. So ugly. But we're gonna work on the trade routes a little bit, so let's look at that. You know what, I might not do trade routes just because there's no major cities in some of these, because I need to, update that, of course. We're gonna see Rome expand into their little claim here, just a little bit though, not too much. Yeah, they're just gonna do that, and they're also going to do that. That's what they're gonna do. And these guys, they're also going to expand into this claim a little bit. The reason they're not expanding all at once is because they want to be careful and not fall apart. As you could tell, Rome has always been careful with that. They created cyan just so that way they wouldn't, expand too much after they heard about what happened to Orange. And now they're cooperating with Orange, but this isn't the same Orange. It's the same color. It's the same type of government. It's the same... You know what? This is Orange, probably. this is pretty much orange, except it's not where it used to be. It's in here now instead of over here. And crazy to think, I told you guys that orange would come back one day. That's because I've planned out everything. I know how the finale is. I know all of these other things that are happening. And I can't tell you because that would spoil everything. But I'm not going to do trade routes because that is just too hard without major cities. However, I'm going to say that trade routes were made. So there are, in fact, trade routes going through all these. And because the only reason I'm saying that is so that way I could, set up this next thing, which is the world discovers that there is a plague. They didn't know the concept of a plague before. They only knew what a disease or a sickness was. But now they know that there's a plague. And it's devastating this entire world. And they're going to have to figure out how to fix it. And fast, because it's spreading. What you see, here on this layer, this is nowhere near what it is anymore. It's all across this entire area because obviously this trade route was formed, and then that went through here, and then it was here, and then that guy caught the plague, and then he expanded through all this. All this is plagued, and the world's gonna have to try and figure out how to resolve this plague in the next episode. Yep, that's right. This episode is ending right here. I hope you guys liked this episode. It's a very long episode. I've been recording for almost 2 hours, and that's thanks to this giant mess. But I hope you guys liked this episode. Make sure to give me any suggestions that you have down in the comment section below. This is the end of Daily Upload Week. Kind of sad, I'm recording this at the beginning of Daily Upload Week, though, so yeah, it's cool. But make sure to like, subscribe, comment down any ideas you have below. You're gonna have to do that. That's very, very important. But that's about it. I mean, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. It was a fun episode to film, I guess, if that makes sense. But thank you guys so much, and until next time, see ya.